posts to ensure road users implement the signs. This development, according to the president of the Staff Association of the National Roads Authority, Bakary Mane, forms part of the proceeds they gain from a full fundraising they held some time ago. Mane added that the association is planning for more interventions in the future. Mamadou Gassama of the WHO applauded the Gambia for moving fast in road safety management, something he says was achieved through multi-sectoral approach. Aliu Top from the Transport Association and representatives of the Drivers Association, BCC and other stakeholders all spoke about the benefits of the move. These drivers and students we spoke to after the initiative applauding the move taken by the association, while adding that safety on the road provides safety for all. The outcome of such innovative interventions can drastically reduce road accidents in the country, but the question now is, will road users adhere to the signs? Rahibite, GRTS News.
A young family in London Corner is desperately appealing for urgent help to evacuate the youngest member of the family for overseas treatment. The child is suffering from a complicated illness. Babukar Senghor has the rest of that story.
9-month-old huge hydrocephalus and brain atrophy patient is in need of urgent assistance to undergo overseas treatment for a disease which had been eaten into the child's life since birth. As the mother, Ami Jobate, narrates, the boy had difficulty in breathing and feeding for about 6 months now, with consistent crying every night. This has put them in a painful surge that saw them meander from one health center to the other in search of a remedy for their child's ailment. The search brought them to the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital for admission. When diagnosed with hydrocephalus and multiple congenital malfunctions, they were later referred to Dakar for treatment, but still no way out. Pursuing a way out for the child, the family has been unceasingly on the hunt for cure, and now the parents, who are at their wits' end, have to contend with perhaps the only remaining avenue: overseas treatment worth £13,800, but this overseas treatment is way too much a cost for the family to afford. But giving up all hope is just too much a gamble for the parents too. They still believe out there somewhere a good Samaritan might give them assistance to fly the child for treatment. That's a young family truly in dire need of help to restore the health of a disturbed and disease-stricken child. They use this interview with the state broadcaster to appeal to the president and the general public for immediate medical support. Anyone in position to help can contact them on these numbers. For GRTS News, this is Babukar Senghor.
The National Environment Agency, NEA, informs the general public that the next Operation Clean the Nation that is scheduled for this Saturday, 30th November, has been postponed until further notice. This is due to the nationwide meningitis vaccination campaign, which kicks off from the 28th November to the 4th December 2013. In light of this development, the release adds, the NEA reminds all National Assembly members, governors, CFOs, alcalos, as well as councillors and government institutions to continue to organize and participate in the national cleanup exercise within their respective areas of jurisdiction throughout the country after the nationwide meningitis campaign. Well, time now to take our first break. We'll be back with news from outside the Gambia. Welcome back. There are increasing fears of an impending eruption of ethno-religious conflict in the Central African Republic. To avert this potential crisis, France is calling for an expansion in the number of foreign troops in the CAR. Paris is sent to set a motion at the United Nations for a resolution to convert the African Union force in Bangui into a larger force with a mandate to fight. We have details in this report.
Paris said Tuesday the extra soldiers could stay in the country 6 months. France in this mission will support an African force which is already being composed with military elements from neighboring countries. France will support this African mission with around 1,000 soldiers for an operation that has nothing to do with Mali. But the French insist that their troops will only back the Africans who are to be sent to Bangui by the end of the year. Like for Mali last year, France is leading the charge on the Central African crises. They are backed by the United Nations Secretary General. He shares their fears of an interreligious conflict.
It is now for the Council to decide. If this situation is left to fester, it may develop into a religious and ethnic conflict with long-standing consequences, even a civil war that could spread into neighboring countries.
With this backing, France is moving a motion before the Security Council. The goal is to convert the African force deployed there into a larger UN force with a mandate to fight. Paris wants to see a resolution voted as soon as next week.
Senior members of Congo's leading opposition party, the MLC of Jean-Pierre Bemba, have threatened to pull out of the National Assembly. This follows the sudden arrest of 4 senior members of the party at the request of the International Criminal Court. Jean-Pierre Bemba is currently in The Hague, where he faces charges of war crimes and crimes against humanity. We have details in this report.
At headquarters of the MLC, one of the main opposition parties, activists are angry following the arrests of 4 people for corrupting witnesses in the trial of MLC leader Jean-Pierre Bemba in The Hague. Among the 4 was the number 3 man in the party, Fidel Babalawendu. Arrested at the request of the International Criminal Court, he was immediately brought to The Hague. The MLC is not sitting idle. The party is threatening to pull out of DR Congo's National Assembly, citing a crackdown against Jean-Pierre Bemba.
We were surprised by this crackdown, by the speed at which the arrest warrant was carried out and our colleague expedited. They are determined to get Jean-Pierre Bemba. They have used collaborators to cut off the head of the party and the head of his defense.
His defense team has also been hard hit. Lawyer Aimé Kilolo and an aide were arrested in Brussels and the Netherlands. A 4th person was arrested in France. Along with Bemba, they are suspected of obstructing justice in the context of his trial.
According to information we have received, we suspect them of establishing a network of false documents. They allegedly tried also to influence witnesses.
A first appearance at the ICC court in The Hague is scheduled for Wednesday for influencing witnesses. This is a new charge hanging over the head of Jean-Pierre Bemba, already accused of war crimes and crimes against humanity.
Police in Uganda have fought running street battles with angry supporters of the mayor of Kampala. The mayor has now been sacked by Kampala city councillors after the government in Kampala set up a special tribunal which found Arias Lukwago guilty of incompetence. Opponents of President Museveni accused the government of trying to wrestle control of the mayoral seat from the opposition. We have more in this CFI report.
Protesters dodged police batons in the streets of the Ugandan capital Monday. Supporters of Kampala's opposition mayor Arias Lukwago exploded in anger when they heard he had been sacked by councillors after a tribunal found him guilty of incompetence. Police have been deployed in the capital over the past days.
I'm the owner of Kiseka with this from today. You come by force, we shall withdraw you by force.
The disruption began a few hours earlier at Kampala's town hall.
Well, your intention is to disrupt this meeting. Just go to your seat.
The mayor was not present during the vote as the council decided to sack Arias Lukwago, but his supporters accused the government of plotting against him to wrest control of the post from the opposition. The mayor's defense lawyer was not allowed to deliver a temporary injunction that would have suspended the court's decision to hand down a guilty verdict.
I would also like to inform you that the Lord Mayor or his advocate or expert of his choice shall be allowed to be heard in his defense to the motion moved by any of the authority councils.
Ever since Arias Luago was elected mayor in 2011, he has openly defied President Museveni's government. 10 days ago, the government set up a special tribunal to put the mayor on trial. According to the opposition, the